brilliant at it. He's getting older and older, which is a lot of money. Hasn't been like that ever before. Nonetheless, the cost of fuel and fertilizers, they're actually making less money per ton this year than they were several years ago. Now, the last thing you want if you're a farmer is to have these birds coming down to your crops in thousands and eating up all your hard work. And until the day comes, and this is if there are any inventors among you, until the day comes when some genius develops an invention that can guarantee keeping pests off farmers' crops, and incidentally you will make your million overnight, until that day comes, then we're going to shoot them with a shotgun. It's only a temporary method, but at the same time it kills the problem while it's happening there on the crops. Now, this is not a new thing. For those of you old enough to remember, anyone used to go to Sunday school? Some of you heard of it. Anyway, I went to Sunday school when I was a kid. Excellent stuff for you small youngsters. I learned about the parable of the sower. Most of you have heard of it. The sower, which is the farmer, he would have had a big sack around his shoulders and he would have planted the seeds, broadcast, and scattered the seeds across the ground. We all heard the story. Some of it lands on thorny ground, some of it lands on stony ground, some of it starts to grow and gets choked by the weeds. But the story also says that as fast as he can sow it, the bloody birds are coming along behind him, eating it all up. Now that goes back 6,500 years of recorded history, so there's nothing new here with farmers having pests. We're going to take a look at this bird, and we're going to see if we can bring him within range of the gun. So before we set out our stall, so to speak, we'll see if we can actually find out about the modern shotgun. Pigeons have been shot at for 300 years. They're not stupid. They know that the man of the field is a different character than the man of the town. Interestingly enough, we now know that the RSPB, that's the Royal Society of Protection of Birds, now tell us that this bird, the wood pigeon, is now one of the most commonest garden birds. Well, I'm only 47, I know you never believe it, but I am. And when I was a kid, you never would have seen pigeons in your gardens. They're changing their habits. They're actually living much closer to human beings now because the people of the town is a lot safer and there's very few predators around city centres. So we'll talk about the pigeon in a moment, but first of all we're going to shoot him. And this is important for any youngsters. When you've started this game, you'll soon find out you're not going to shoot a single pigeon unless you understand the limitations of the shotgun. Now, the modern shotgun, this is a wildfowler's gun. In fact, it has a single barrel. It has a simple action which used to be called the lock in the old days of gun making. It used to be made by the locksmiths, the same people that made the locks for your front doors. That's the action there. The stock, well, there it is. In the old days, it would have been a lovely piece of walnut, very gracefully carved, lovingly and beautifully made by skillful people. There it is, lock, stock and barrel, another phrase we use today. The wind's getting up. Good day for pigeon shooting today, I reckon. One thing that I must mention, since there are lots of youngsters watching this, you will never ever see me point my gun towards any of you. Ever. Gun safety is something you have to learn. The safest way to hold a gun is pointing straight up in the air. I learned all this when I was 11 years old. I did an apprenticeship. My dad took me out every time he went shooting. After pigeons, rabbits, pheasants, ducks, geese, you name it, I had to go with him. I carried a duck gun, much bigger than this thing, had a big hammer on the back, and he never let me have any cartridges. What he was doing is making sure I knew how to handle a gun safely. 12 months I had to do this until he trusted me. When I was 12 years old, I shot my first pigeon. But I learned the safety. You never shoot where you can't see to be safe, and you never point guns at people. End of story. And if you stick with that, you will never ever have an accident. Right, we're going to fire a blank shot. They're a little bit lively. Kids, if you've got any nervous mums and dads, hang on to them. And if you've got any dogs that are not used to guns, well, hang on to them as well. You'll notice I've got my two dogs. They're not real dogs. They're just muppets, but we'll talk about that later on. Stay. And the spaniel looks at me saying, "We've got you, Dad, because we're tied to a stick with a piece of string." But they're used to the gun, they're used to loud noises, and here it goes. Are you ready? There you go. I got it. Hello there, my name's Chris Green. I've just come out of the ring doing a pigeon decoying display. Well, just to let you know that these decoys will very soon be available at the CLA Game Fair and of course at the Midland Game Fair. Now this of course is readily available on the website at West Country Films. Take a look at this.